Hi, you guys. So we're going to jump right into the live. We're going to jump right into the live. So, you guys, if you hear any snaps and little sounds, little pops, we're just positioning things in the studio. So don't be alarmed if you hear a little bit of, we're just positioning things. So let's get right into the live. So, you guys, you have heard so much, especially in the last few days, about the entertainment industry. And so many of the things that you thought people were just enjoying themselves and their mansions and their cars and their houses and all these things. But you start to see that when you make certain decisions, it's not necessarily when you make the wrong kinds of decisions, it doesn't go as you would think. So let me start by giving you 3 reasons why going for the fame and the money and the quick things in the entertainment industry can be a problem. I really want to thank, though, you guys know that this live is for celebrities and leaders. That's really who our community is. So I want to thank you guys for coming, for being a part of everything here. And you guys are letting us know that you love these lives, that you love to just hear a calm voice, that you love to just get away from your troubles, that you love to just be in a space that's away from all of the things that can sometimes feel harsh in the day, the harsh lights, all of the, sometimes the attention, different things. Sometimes the attention is wonderful for you as an artist, and sometimes you do want that quiet space. So we thank you to all the celebrities and all the leaders who listen to our show. And for the celebrities, you don't have to reveal your names when you come on. You can just come and share. So let's get back into it. 3 reasons why going for the fame and the money and the quick results are not going to help you. Let's start with 3. Number 1, when you are trying to build something, that's going to have long-term value, it takes time. There are lessons that are incumbent in all of the experiences that you have, all of the steps that you take. So the time is a factor. You want to be able to be patient, because you may think that you want it to just happen quick, but if you don't have the lessons that come along with those results, it's not going to be long-standing. You need the lessons that are going to sustain it. So that's number 1, that time factor. Number 2, if your values are not in place, you will actually have people who will exploit you in a particular kind of way. Because if you've heard the saying, if you will stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. You've heard that saying. I don't know exactly where it comes from, but when you are looking to enter into the entertainment industry, you have to have your values intact, because you will be offered so many things, you will be told so many things, and they may look shiny, and it may look like something that you want to easily enter into. But if your values are not intact, you will actually not have the kind of respect that not only lends to longevity in the business, but that your intrinsic value, your sense of worth, your value system helps to really propel the kind of experience that you want to have. It's not just about getting all the perks. it's not just about getting all of those things. What did you want to enter into the industry for? What did you want to teach people? What did you want to share people? So that's number 2, having your values in place. Because if you don't have those values in place, if you are just going for a money grab or an attention grab or to have quick results, you're not going to have that inner sense of fulfillment anyway. And you can be more easily exploited by people who see that you're not conveying a sense of values. And they may just throw different things in your direction, knowing that your principles will not have any bearing on the decisions that you make if you have, or if you're displaying having principles at all. So it's really important to remember those things. And here's number 3. Okay, so we had number 1, that the time that it takes. We had number 2, having those principles in place. Here's number 3. You have to build and develop a real sense of who you are. And yes, this ties back to the principles. But if you have your spiritual beliefs, you have to understand that anything you experience on earth is just ephemeral, is just fleeting. What is your forever value? What is your everlasting sense of what matters? You have to attend to that. Okay, you guys, I want to share something very, very unique at the end of the live. But let's get there with a few other thoughts and principles. Also, if you love natural and organic things, as you know, people in the model poetry community love natural and organic products. So you can go to modelpoetry.com and see some of the celebrities who have endorsed us, and see some of the celebrities who have, embraced us with their artwork, like Doja Cat putting us into her Instagram story, like Naomi Campbell following us, Kathy Ireland following us, Alfre Woodard endorsing Model Poetry. So you can go there and you can also see the artists that we are highlighting, okay? Which actually brings me to our next set of things when you're entering into the industry. The same way that Doja Cat put a spotlight on us as Model Poetry is the same way that you have to be mindful about trying to highlight others who have similar goals to you. And when I say similar goals, who have their principles in place, who want to see how they can serve others in a positive way, who want to try to do the right thing. I have seen people who get all of these wonderful things, and they get all of these opportunities, and they have this income, this financial income, and they have this attention. And because they don't want to help others get through the door, they start experiencing this diminishment. You want to be very mindful of always trying to give others who you believe are doing the right thing an opportunity. Why, do you ask? Hopefully you don't ask why. But if you ask why, yes, there's an intrinsic value to doing that. But also you will see, and I've seen this many times, when you stop trying to help others, I really believe that it starts to inhibit you. And you may think you've gotten all of this stuff and it's for you only. When you stop helping others to grow, you will start seeing ways in which you are inhibited, you are constricted, you are not experiencing the kind of growth that you would like to experience. So that's something very much to keep in mind. Now, let me give you 5 things, because jealousy is a topic that we want to continuously touch on. Let me give you 5 things that jealousy can, 5 ways in which jealousy can really, really hurt you, and or 5 ways in which to deal with jealousy. Okay. Number one, excuse me, this goes back to the point that I just made about helping others on so that you experience growth. Okay. When you are jealous of others, and if you try to sabotage somebody else's work, okay, let's say there's somebody close to you and they're starting to see gains, they're starting to see some wonderful things happen, and you are jealous of them, let's say consciously or unconsciously, be very mindful, and be very careful, because sabotaging others, undercutting others in any kind of way is not going to propel you. So you want to really be aware. How are you engaging with other people? Or how is your heart as far as you can see? That's number one in terms of jealousy. Number two, when you are putting your energy and your focus on being jealous of somebody else, you are not doing your very best. Sometimes you might see people in the public eye and you say, well, you have abilities similar to this person. Well, you can sing pretty well, or you can paint pretty well, or you're a pretty good person to share your ideas, in a teaching fashion. Why does this person have all this opportunity and you don't? Sometimes it's on a very practical level. When you are so focused on your work, rather than being jealous of somebody else who's rising, that energy on your work will help to proliferate that work, will help you to improve, will help you to see where you've made mistakes, will help you to grow. So when that jealousy brings you to a point where you're not putting your energies in the right places, that's another way in which it can hurt you. So that's number 3. Number 4, jealousy is something that will hurt your self-esteem. You and the way that you view yourself, you know that giving into those feelings of jealousy is not going to make you feel beautiful. It's not something beautiful. And so when you are falling into that jealousy, your self-esteem can plummet. Your self-esteem is going to be negatively impacted. And that is another reason why you will be stopped in your own journey. So we have, all of these things that are going to impact you in terms of jealousy. And in case I didn't give you the 5th, and if I did, here's a bonus. When you, rather than falling into jealousy, actually try to help someone who you had those feelings of jealousy about, that will actually propel you in unusual ways. If you want to know more about that, you can, when you have the playback of this video, you can write those comments in the comment section, or you can just listen. That's another thing that people like about this live. Celebrities like it, leaders like it. You can come and just listen. You can come and know that it's an understanding voice, that it's somebody who's not being judgmental towards you. It's somebody that's learning alongside you. You can come to a space where you feel validated, where it's not about comparing yourself to others. That may be something that you had to deal with all day, or feel like you've had to deal with all day. And you come to these lives and you have this space where you can just listen, and you don't feel as though you're in those spaces where you have to compare yourself to others, where you have to feel denigrated, where there are values that don't match up with yours, that make you feel increasingly anxious or increasingly unhappy. So I want to thank you guys for coming. Now, before I end the live, which I'm not ending it yet, I want to share something that you might find to be very unusual, but I'm going to hold off on that. The next thing that I want to talk about, okay, is when you're starting something new. When you're starting something new, it may be that people will laugh at you when you're starting something new. And I've said this previously. It is like a coming of age when people laugh at you. Because when you are doing something that is positive, that has real value, that you don't mind being patient to acquire, when you're adding something of value to the world, it is going to be responded to differently. I know sometimes you'll be scrolling, you'll be looking at things, and you'll see things that seem inane, things that don't seem to add value, even things that just seem very negative. And sometimes you'll see a whole lot of likes and views and comments and this and that. And you'll say, but I'm trying to put something positive out there, and I'm not seeing this reaction. In fact, you have people who are laughing at you or trying to denigrate you. Take those things as a badge of honor. Take those things, especially when you're embarking on something new and people laugh at you. Take it. It is part of the coming of age. You may have heard the saying, first they ignore you. I don't know who said this originally, but first they ignore you. Then they laugh at you. Then they fight with you. Then you win. If you are doing the right thing, this is often just a part of the journey. If you start to delve into something new, and maybe you don't rely on that income from a 9 to 5 that you're perhaps not happy in, and you are imparting something positive into the world that pulls people away from paradigms that don't advance them, and you help other people who maybe, didn't want to go on in their career or towards their goals. When you are adding that kind of value, negativity is not going to just let you get on like that. There are going to be certain roadblocks, certain challenges that you might not see if you were just spewing some kind of nonsense out into the world. So be mindful of that. If you are doing something that you know deep down, it's right. Understand that there are going to be those discouraging things that come up, much more so than something that's somebody who's doing something, or something that comes from someone who's just following the crowd and putting something out there that doesn't really have value. And I don't mean that in a judgmental way. I mean something that the person who's putting it out knows or doesn't believe that it has value, and they're just doing it for money or for attention, and they don't really care about the recipients of the messages that they're sending. So that's something else to consider. So now let me turn to this. Let me turn to 3 reasons why, once you get started, you should keep going, regardless of the responses. Now, first of all, you want to vet things. If you're doing something and it really isn't serving anyone, or it's really not your calling, you really don't enjoy it, and you haven't experienced anyone telling you that it brings them value at all, you do want to be mindful of those things. I'm not sure it's always the best thing to just persevere, even when you're getting feedback that people are not growing from what you're contributing. This is a very hard thing to know, because sometimes you can start with something and you're not getting any response. So throwing it away at that point is a very dangerous and sad thing to do, because sometimes when you just stay in there, stick it out, hang in there, you start to see a response. And you might say, oh, but I thought you would say, don't worry about how people respond. Don't worry about what the world thinks. Yes, but there's a difference between not being overly concerned with others' opinions and wanting to make a contribution that has a positive impact on others. There is like a stream that you get into, that's something that you tap into and you start seeing that this is having value for others. So give it some time, give it some good time, and always be looking out to see, is this something that is positively impacting others? Don't throw it away easily, but also keep examining it. Because if this is not the area that you should be venturing into, there may be another where you'll be bringing value to people. Look for the evidence, look for the feedback. Be very, very alert and mindful so that you don't throw it away too early, but so that you don't stay on a path where you're not bringing value to others and it's not proliferating in your life. Again, it's so hard to know. Just continue to be mindful, continue to pray about it. Okay, so I said I would give you 3 things that you know when you have something to keep going, and the other aspects of that. So here's number 2. Okay, when you have a particular kind of peace, just a peace about something. And I don't mean an artificial peace. I mean, maybe that's not well put. I don't mean a worldly, again, if you hear rustlings, you hear, well, that's just the studio adjusting the mic, positioning things. So just relax and don't worry about those things. When you have a real peace about things, you pray about it. You have a peace about it. You have a peace about your direction. Be very mindful of that. There is a sort of chaos that can come with, for example, I remember talking to a friend once, a long time ago, and wanted their help with something. And the person said, oh, just give me time or something. I just want to think about it, or something to that degree. And it was either I was in this situation or this was described to me. I think I was asking the person for some kind of feedback or assistance with something, and they'd said, give them time. And I said something to the effect of, I needed their answer pretty swiftly. And they were just like, whoa, whenever I get that sense that it's like, I don't know, they were saying that the kind of energy that goes with that, you gotta go, you gotta do this, you gotta do it quickly, you gotta, and it just was making the person feel flustered. That was making the person feel even more like this was not something that they thought they would be helpful in. And it was actually a positive goal. It was a positive thing. But when relaying it to this friend, because there was a request for a sort of quick response, they were deterred. They had that feeling that comes with the chaos sometimes of somebody asking you to do something quickly. Now, I've also heard it said that something to the effect of leaders or people who follow will take a long time to figure things out and then change their minds very quickly. Whereas leaders will come to a determination pretty quickly and change their minds very slowly. So that is something to consider. But when I say peace, I mean an overall peace. Whether it is making a decision pretty quickly and feeling comfortable with it, or telling the person, listen, I need some time, and being okay with that. Or knowing in the situation that you don't want to rush into it. I've heard people say this even on practical levels. I heard a girl online say she will put something in her to-go cart online, shopping online, and just let it stay in there for 24 hours before she at least 24 hours before she purchases it. I also remember a woman who was teaching about sales saying that she will talk to somebody and she will say, because she knew the value of what she was offering. She knew the value. She knew that people often liked the product and they were pleased with it, with their experience, as far as I know. So she would say to people, she would present the product and she would say, hey, listen, you don't need to answer today. You don't need to, give a response today. Take your time with it. Think about it. Consider everything. Make comparisons. I don't know if she said that part, but that's I think a valuable part of it. She was giving them the options to look at it in whatever ways they wanted and letting them know that they could take that time. And I believe she had the confidence in doing that because they often came back. She was offering a product of value. Now, I know sometimes people will teach, especially in sales, that you do want to let people know that there are time constraints. If there are, I think you should operate from a place of honesty and let people know what constraints there are time-wise in an honest fashion. Relay it to them. Just be honest with them about it. And if a promotion is going to end in a month, you should let them know. If by the end of the day, that promotion, just be honest about it. So I understand in sales, sometimes there are constraints that you want to let somebody know. There's a time factor in this. But just be honest about that. I always think that being honest with your customers, intrinsically, it's the right thing to do. And also, once you develop that trust, you're going to have a customer base. You don't have to pant and run after people because they'll trust you. You're doing the right thing. And that's going to proliferate in so many ways. Okay, so that's another aspect of when you know something is right. Those are the points I was giving you, why you should persevere. Here's another reason when you know you're doing something right, you should persevere. You've heard it said, everything you want is on the other side of fear. Now, I don't know if I would co-sign that exact statement. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know who gave that, who made that statement originally. But I would say there's value to the idea that a lot of things that you want, you can experience when you let go of fear. The Bible says, and I'm paraphrasing, I believe the Bible says the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear. So I think that's why so many people, there could be something that is a fear that is really something that you see And it's not even something that is real to others or something that they perceive about you but it's something that you're afraid of. And you're amazed when you let go of that fear. You're like, wow, this thing, and let me position this mic here, that other people didn't even see, or that didn't even really matter. And I let go of it and look at the abundance that came in, and look at the opportunity that was there, and look how I was financially blessed, and look how these doors have been opened. And it was just breaking through that fear, the rewards that come with it. And I think that's why negativity works so hard to make you fearful of those things that shouldn't make you fearful. Make you think about those things that shouldn't stop you. Keep you concerned about what the world thinks so you don't even begin. It is time for you to consider the fact that the very thing you're most afraid of, the very thing that you're most afraid of doing, could have such abundance in it that you can hardly imagine. And that's why negativity wants you to be afraid of it the most, because it will reap you. You will reap the biggest reward in that particular area. So those are those points of why when you believe something is right, you should persevere. So let me tell you, I have something that I want to share before the end of the live. Before the end of the live, I want to share it with you. But let me give you 3 of the things that you should be mindful of while you're going towards your success. Have you ever had an experience where things were going swimmingly? You were working on something and it was working so well, and you started to tell people about it, and it's almost like it evaporated. Maybe you're not even conscious of it. Think about it. Think about those times. Now, there are many reasons why that could be. There are many different explanations that people have. But when you are on your way to your goals, you don't need to share everything. In fact, there are a lot of things that you really don't need to share. You really don't need to. Now, there are many reasons, and you can look up, you can Google or do a YouTube search of why is sharing your goals before you have accomplished them potentially not a good idea. That would be a clumsy search, but you can search something like that and you're going to get many different interpretations. But today I just want to begin with that, okay? That is something you should be mindful of. Here is something else, okay? These are, again, points of when you're going on your way to success, things that you should be mindful of, things that may even be considered secrets that you should be mindful of. When you have somebody who is teaching you, be very respectful towards them, but also be mindful of not overshadowing them. Now you might say, well, a really confident mentor is not going to mind if if your gifts shine. And they're not going to feel diminished by the fact that you're shining. And a good mentor doesn't even mind if, in comparison to them, you seem to be beyond some of the abilities that they have. I agree with you on that point. But understand that even a mentor, somebody that you look up to, somebody that you see as having greater knowledge than yourself, greater ability than yourself, will still have insecurities. So just be mindful of that and be respectful of the gifts that they have and acknowledge what they're sharing with you. Even if you believe that you take what they give you and you could run with it farther than they were, let them know that you respect what they're contributing to you, because you're going to have official mentors and you're going to have unofficial mentors. You're going to have people who will be very generous with their time and with what they're teaching you. But you have to honor them. You have to respect them. It's like some of the discussions that I've heard in the public eye of people who talk about an older generation. And, oh, you need fresh voices. And, oh, you need these people won't get out of the ring and let the new people come in. I personally think that that's disrespectful. Yes, if someone is in a position where they can no longer do their job effectively, then that's something that needs to be discussed. And that's a real issue. But if somebody is of an older age and they are effective in their position, it is so disrespectful to discard them or dismiss them because of their age. You are hoping to grow old as well. You don't want to be dismissed one day because of your age. Look at older cultures that have, a history. Older people are revered. So and there's a reason for that. So when you're working with your mentors, for a number of reasons, let them know that you value what they're bringing to the table. I want to give you 3 reasons why, moving on to another topic, you should not envy the rich and the famous who got things quickly, okay? I don't believe you should envy anyone, because I believe God gives us all gifts, and it's about exploring your own gifts. And when you're envying someone, not only are you putting your attention on something else, you can't attend to what you've been given, but you are also not showing gratitude for what you've been given. And you're not proliferating in that area because you're focused on what somebody else has. Okay, but 3 reasons why you should not envy people who got things quickly. Okay, the rich and the famous, when they got things quickly. You could be happy for people who have achieved success financially, attention-wise, those things. You don't necessarily have to delve into how they got it so deeply, especially to just dismantle, what they've received. But it's good to, in an overall sense, be aware that when people get things quickly, they often don't have the lessons that come with it to sustain it. And sometimes they have to learn those lessons publicly. You've heard people say, oh, I had to grow up in the public eye, or, all of these things. They wouldn't have wanted to grow up with a camera in their face, people witnessing all their mistakes and all of those things. Your privacy is one of the precious things that you have. Many people want to be famous these days. They want to be in the public eye. And I think that that's okay if you get it the right way. So that's number 1. Getting fame and money quickly is not something to envy, because it often doesn't come with the lessons that are needed to perpetuate what it is that you've gotten. Number two, a reason why you should not be envying the famous and the rich. You don't know what difficulties they're dealing with behind closed doors. And I've said this before. Okay, they are showing you their highlight reels, so to speak. They are showing you the wonderful things that are happening. And sometimes they're encouraging you to believe. Some, not all, some are very upstanding, got things very much the right way, very patient, may have even gotten things quickly, but they're learning lessons as they go, trying to put their heart in the right place. But some who did not get it the right way are trying to encourage you, or maybe they're not trying, it's kind of Machiavellian to think that they're purposefully trying to take you down the wrong road, but some of them may be. But I think many of them may not be conscious of it. But the effect is that you see their success, you learn about how they got it, and so you think, oh, I might do some of those things. And they're not showing you the crying in the background, the sadness that goes with doing things the wrong way, the emptiness that goes with doing things the wrong way, the emptiness and sadness that goes with acquiring things, for the wrong reasons. So that's another reason. And here's the final thing I want to give you before I give you the final note for the day of why you should not be envying the rich and famous. And that is, when you envy others, you might allow yourself to fall into a place where you would, consciously or unconsciously, do things to sabotage that person. What you should actually be doing is seeing how you can bless them. That will open things up for you. When you sabotage them or try to restrict them, I truly believe that it actually inhibits you. It actually stops you from seeing the kind of growth that you want to see. You think that you're doing it to that person, but you're doing it to yourself. So you see that they have something great. You see that they're rising. You pray for them. Want good things for them. Try to help them, even if they're way beyond you. You'll be amazed at how the doors will be opened for you. And here's what I want to share on that point before we close the live. Okay. And again, you hear the snapping and clicking and popping with the microphone, and just, I want you to hear my voice and what I'm saying. I had a friend who I was not very close to, but I had a friend soon after getting out of school. And we were both going for jobs. And she would say to me, I remember she said, we were both looking for jobs. We, at one point neither of us had anything, I think. And she was like, oh, I got this great job, and this and that. And, you're so wide-eyed when you first get out of school. I mean, jealousy, this, that, the other. Sometimes you haven't even gotten to the point where you're going to experience jealousy and those things, because you feel the world is so open to you. So you're like, oh, this person got this, I can get that too. I mean, no need to be jealous. Yours is coming, So she was like, oh, I got this job. And I was just like, genuinely, it was just a reflex. I was just like, I'm so happy for you. Oh my, and wanted her to tell me more about it or whatever. And we talked or whatever, And then the next time I saw her or we spoke, and then I had actually gotten a job as well. Okay. And then she's like, oh my goodness, it was either a promotion or she got an increase in pay, or I don't know if she had moved on to another position, but basically she was telling me how much she was making. And you can say, oh, it's oversharing. I don't necessarily think it was. Maybe she felt comfortable telling me because I'm not the kind of person that would disclose her identity or, tell other people about, that the story, I'm sharing the story with you, but I would never share her identity, with anybody else, even in my personal life or anywhere. And people have known for me. I've had people in my life, people I wasn't even close to, people who in school who didn't even talk to me. But when they had an issue or a problem, they would say, hey, and they would pull me aside and they'd be like, can I talk to you? And I think part of the reason was they watched me and they saw I would never tell somebody's secrets or something that somebody told me not to share, whether we are fighting, not fighting, friends, not friends. They never witnessed me, downing somebody or revealing somebody's secrets, So I guess they felt comfortable to tell me. Now I'm sharing I don't know if you think this is a contradiction that I'm sharing this story with this girl. This was not a confidential story. She did not, say you can't share this. This was not, and I'm just sharing the facts of what happened, not what her identity is, although she would not have minded me sharing. She was just, sharing her triumphs with me. So back to the story. So the next time I talked to her, she was telling me she made more money. And it was much more than I was making, at that time. And it was like a reflex. Again, we were both just out of school. You feel the world is just open right up to you, whatever. You get it, I get it, doesn't matter. So I was like, oh, wow, so happy. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for her, And then, so we, whatever, a couple of weeks we didn't talk, or for a little while we didn't talk. Then the next time we talked, it was the next day, I don't know if she had moved on to a much better job or whatever the case may be. And she told me, and I was like, oh man, I'm so happy for you. And it was it's so funny because now looking back, I realized that she was just, and I say this, this is from my spiritual beliefs. She was just presenting my future. I'm not saying she didn't have her own life. I'm not saying it didn't have her, its own value, or that her friendship wasn't valuable to me, or that those kind of successes are all that mattered. But in that area, she was just sharing the future, because everything she shared with me, and I was genuinely, I didn't have to cause myself to try to be happy for her. I didn't have to push myself, which can happen. As you experience disappointments in your life, it's sometimes understandable. You might not have the same reflex because you might be like, well, oh, wonderful, but, but I would like to experience some of those things, But I genuinely had the reflex of being happy for her. And it was just like my blessings just showed up just consecutively. She was just showing me. So if I had not been happy for her, I don't know if I would have experienced it or if it would have happened so quickly. I think there's a real gift and a real power in that. So that was something personal that I look back now and it just reminds me, try to genuinely be happy for people. Now, I'm not saying that I think it's wrong to do cultural critiques in general, because we do see a lot of things happening in the culture that are not advisable. And you have a lot of people, who are thinking, young and old, that this is the way to go about things, because they see it as a paradigm of success. They see other people, seeming to thrive with it. But just especially in the last few days, you've been seeing, or in the last few weeks, or just recently, you've been seeing the other side of these quick gains and quick fame and quick money that people got. And I think we're collectively as a society starting to really examine things and starting to really think, this stuff that we were putting on a pedestal, heralding these lifestyles, not what we thought. And sometimes it even makes what you think as menial work in your own life, sometimes it makes it more valuable. It's like, oh, it's menial work. It's work that I have to do on my way. But, I'm not involved in something that, I'm not doing the kind of work that just makes me feel so disappointed in my own choices, And again, there are other reasons spiritually. Many of you who know or know me know that, my beliefs are very important to me. So there's more to me beyond this world that you want to think about what's important to you. You guys, I appreciate you so much. I thank you for listening and for staying on. And, I just think that you're wonderful. And I think that, the fact that it's celebrities and leaders who follow is just having more and more resonance to me, because these are the leaders who are going out and sharing things with other people. These are the leaders that are strengthening and empowering each other and going out and sharing it with others. So the fact that, and if you go to modelpoetry.com, you'll see some of the many celebrities who are supporting us, and some of the many leaders who are supporting us. That's very powerful. There's no need to run after the crowd. Create something that you believe in, and people will gather around. This is for all of us. Do the right thing. I love you guys. I'm going to close off the live. Thank you so much for being a part of this. You can comment back on the replay. Thank you to Isal. Thank you to America Chavez. Thank you to all of you who are just amazing. Thank you to Per. Thank you to all of you giving your feedback and are wonderful. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.